Part 290. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2898. Dong Xianwei felt that it was finally his turn, and the sky in Bihai County was much bluer. Fang Xiancheng didn't know anything about this, and when the county magistrate went to the countryside, he had to handle all kinds of chores in the county office. Bai Shan didn't force it either. As long as he asked for leave, he would approve the leave, and then took back the powers of the clerk, taking care of part of it himself, and handing the rest to Fang Xiancheng. Seeing that Bai Shan was so hard-hearted, the Song family couldn't help frowning. Master Song didn't hold back and ran to see Master Song. "Uncle, Bai Shan is so calm, he won't really build a new salt field, will he?" Master Song said, "The new salt field is only half built, and it has been in place for 2 years. It will take a long time to complete the construction, not to mention the need to cook salt in a large pot." He added, "And I have asked Bang Xian to look after the nearby mountains and forests, and no one has cut down the trees. The trees on the 2 hills in Zioa village are not big enough to be used for firewood." He sneered, "The tree has to be cut down and dried. Even if it is split, it will take 10 or 20 days to turn into firewood. I don't believe he can boil the salt before July. At the latest in early July, they must send a batch of official salt to Qingzhou City in exchange for the county government's finances." Master Song said, "Wait, you don't have to worry about it. The master book is your position. Even if he temporarily manages it for a while, he will still have to invite you after a while. As long as the people in the salt field listen to their words, Bai Shan would not be able to cook the salt, and the county government's finances would be in their hands. Moreover, if he can't pay the official salt requested by the governor's office, Bai Shan, the county magistrate, is dereliction of duty. Even if he has a good relationship with Lu County magistrate, this matter cannot be covered up, because the things behind it are complicated. If the official salt is not in place, there will be gaps in other places where Bihai County has always provided official salt. Salt is involved in the livelihood of the people. People in this world cannot eat meat or even vegetables, but they must not eat salt." Master Song listened to the uncle's analysis and felt slightly relieved. Master Song said, "There is news from Qingzhou City, saying that the governor has been replaced, and the new governor will arrive in Qingzhou City in a few days, but we are not well informed, and our relationship with the county magistrate is normal. I don't know who the new governor is." "Who?" In fact, the new governor has arrived, just half a day before Master Song said this. After receiving the appointment, he immediately went to the capital, talked with the emperor for 2 days, visited some old friends, and immediately came to Qingzhou with the official seal. He didn't inform the Qingzhou side of the itinerary in advance, so the county magistrate only knew when he entered Qingzhou Qinglu, and he hurriedly brought the officials to meet him. Originally, when the new governor arrived, all the county magistrates would come to greet him. But Guocheng didn't tell everyone in advance, and the county magistrate Lu could only plead guilty with an uneasy face. "The governor is here, and the lower officials are welcome. The magistrates of other counties are not in Qingzhou at this time." Guocheng smiled and said, "I don't blame them. At this time, it is time to harvest wheat and plant rice. Things are busy, so this official deliberately did not notify them." Guocheng smiled and said, "Isn't the Dragon Boat Festival coming soon? At that time, the busy farming season will be over, so I'll call them over to meet again." The county magistrate responded and welcomed Guocheng into the governor's mansion. Because he got the information of the governor of Guo in advance, the county magistrate Lu behaved very generously and decently. As soon as the person arrived, he immediately handed over the power of the governor's house to the other party, and on the face of it, it was completely broken. "You look like you are looking forward." This made Guocheng very satisfied and began to take over the affairs of the governor's house. Although the magistrate of Lu had delegated power, Guo Cheng still felt his influence in Qingzhou City and the governor's mansion. After all, the county magistrate Lu has been in charge of the governor's house for half a year, and during that half year, Qingzhou officials of all sizes were almost wiped out, and the officials at the bottom couldn't help but rely on the only surviving county magistrate. And the county magistrate Lu was also shrewd and capable. When the governor of Wang was late to take office, officials and people in Qingzhou were actually a little scared. At that time, the magistrate Lu ran outside all day, not only to appease the county magistrates who had just arrived in the county, also to appease the people. Therefore, he has great influence in Qingzhou. Even if the county magistrate Lu had tried his best to reduce his sense of existence after Guo Cheng took office, the influence was really beyond his control. He can't just expose his shortcomings in order to gain the trust of the governor of Guo, so as to reduce his prestige among his colleagues and the common people? That's not humility, it's insane. So he still inevitably caught the eye of Guo Shishi. However, County Magistrate Lu was well prepared for this situation, and he said to his confidant, "Thankfully, it is Governor Guo who came. If it was the Governor Wang in front, our life would be even more difficult. Although to Wang inspector is also easier, but if you can't even maintain basic facial expressions, kings whose officialdom is almost over." The pattern of the county magistrate is not only in Qingzhou, he also wants to go farther and expect a greater future, so Qingzhou must be managed well. Guo Cheng's situation is naturally not limited to Qingzhou, so although he is very dissatisfied with the various things that the county magistrate has done over him, he still maintains harmony on the surface. But that didn't mean he was tolerant, so he asked the master he brought, which of the 7 counties under Qingzhou can compete with Yuta County. After thinking about it, the master said, "Qiancheng and Baqing are good." Guo Cheng thought for a moment, sent someone to inquire about the relationship between the magistrates of the 2 counties and Magistrate Lu, and send an official document to ask them to come to see me in Qingzhou City immediately. How people are, you will know when you see them. Although Bai Shan and Zhou Man were in Bihai County, they still heard some of these things. The sources are mainly from the county magistrate Lu and Lu Gui. In order to strengthen the cooperative relationship between the 2 sides, the county magistrate Lu wrote many letters to Bai Shan during this time, of course, private letters. Anyway, Qingzhou City is not far from Bihai County, so there is no problem going back and forth 3 times a day. And Lu Gui's news is much smaller and more gossip. After hard work, he finally opened a small restaurant outside the school in Qingzhou City, and hired a cook. Because it has only opened soon, he needs to live in Qingzhou City to manage it. When the people in the restaurant are familiar with it, he will have it. Time to return to Bai Shan. Although Bai Shan doesn't need him by his side. Because the restaurant is not far across from the school, their guests are mainly students from the school. Well, some of them are well informed and will quietly discuss some political affairs. In particular, Guo Cheng was the newly appointed governor. Basically, 7 of the 10 topics involved him, the remaining 3 and 2 belonged to their wife Zhou Man alone. The medical office is located in Bihai County, which makes some students feel bad for Zhou Man, thinking that she is favoritism and does this for Bai Shanke. Shouldn't the Qingzhou medical office be located in Qingzhou City? At this time, Guo Cheng finally remembered this incident. Shouldn't the Qingzhou medical office fall in Qingzhou? Why did it go to Bihai County? I had a little cold last night, so I didn't add the update. I took the medicine and slept better for a night. I will start the update today. See you at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2899. The master asked, "Do you want to summon Zhou's order?" Guo Cheng thought for a while, then nodded and said, "Call her. I heard her name before coming here. After all, she and my Guo family are still some relatives." The master is Guo Cheng's senior advisor, so he naturally understands Guo Cheng's interpersonal relationships, and said with a smile, Lu Shangshu seems to be very satisfied with his grandson-in-law, because it is for the Lu family, the adults should also get on well with Zhou Man. Relation. Guo Cheng also thinks so, so it is better to build the medical office in Qingzhou City. Not only the two sides are more closely connected, but also restrain Yuda County. Bai Shan, magistrate of Bihai County, Guo Cheng said after pondering for a moment, he was a popular man in front of His Majesty before. I've heard of this person long ago. He is very talented, but I don't know how he can manage the place. He said, if it is of great use, it may be used to contain the county magistrate. Man Bao was also preparing to see Guo Cheng, so as soon as she received the official document from Qingzhou City, she immediately packed up some documents and brought it with her, and when Tiandong said, you stay at the medical office to see if any new patients come to the door. Come. Just 2 days ago, their hospital finally ushered in the first patient who came to the door. It was the daughter of the woman who was talking to them by the well that day, called Feng Erniang. She had just given birth, but maybe the fetus was too big and she was young, so she kept showing lochia. The person was sent by her husband pushing a cart and covered with a quilt. Man Bao showed her the person, so he stayed and lived for 3 days, taking medicine while piercing the needle, and just sent it away this morning. Good or not, but the condition is under control, and the next step is to recuperate and treat. Man Bao's Hung was afraid that they would not come again, so he prescribed medicine for the other party for a 10-day at a time, and said, it's best to check again after the medicine is used up. Your disease is not an emergency. If you don't cure it, you will have endless troubles in the future. The other party agreed, but it is uncertain whether Man Bao will come back. But this does not hinder her and Wen Tiandong's full enthusiasm. Already have the first patient, will the second one be far behind? Wen Tiandong is also more confident than before, so he should go. Man Bao brought daji and cakes, and hurried to Qingzhou City to meet the governor of Guo. Both sides were surprised when they saw it at the governor's mansion. Zhou Mansi felt that Guo Cheng's image did not match his imagination. How could he be a beautiful middle-aged man who looked elegant and gentle? Guo Cheng was surprised by the youth of the other party, but he had heard of Zhou Man long ago and knew that she was young, so he was only surprised for a moment, and quickly calmed down. Man Bao also put away the surprise on his face, smiled and stepped forward to salute Guo Cheng. Ziguan sees Guo Shishi. Guo Shishi came from afar, but Ziguan failed to greet him. Please forgive Guo Shishi. Guo Cheng smiled and said, Master Zhou is very polite. In truth, you and I are of the same rank, so you are not a high-ranking official. Qingzhou Medical Bureau is under the jurisdiction of Qingzhou. As long as it is within Qingzhou, it belongs to Qingzhou, and it is naturally a lower official. The two humbled each other for a while, and then sat down separately. Inspector Guo asked mildly, why did Lord Zhou put the medical office in Bihai County? Zhou Man is very frank, because Bihai County's work is best carried out. She said clearly, because of some misunderstandings, the county governments in various places are wary of the medical office, and Governor Guo also knows that I have a special relationship with the magistrate of Bai County. By placing the medical office in Bihai County, I can get the greatest support. There will be no difficulties when the hospital is established. Guo Cheng didn't expect her to point this out directly. Shouldn't this kind of thing be false? Man Bao didn't have the administrative time to speculate with Guo Cheng. It was a matter between Bai Shan and his local county government. As a medical office that was semi-independent from the governor's office, Zhou Man's autonomy was a little higher. She said directly to Guo Cheng, the Lord didn't come before, and there was no one in Qingzhou City to call the shots. I was hindered a lot by staying here, so I went to Bihai County. Now the medical office there has been established and has certain popularity. She told nonsense with her eyes open, counted all the patients she sent to the countryside for free clinics, and took out the ledger to Guo Cheng to see. Lord, look at the patients who came to our hospital to see and the medicinal materials consumed during this period of time. Guo Cheng opened it and was surprised. The medical department has admitted so many patients. Good. Guo Cheng, are people in Bihai County so weak? Man Bao lifted his eyelids and glanced at him, and said, Sir, this is not too much. Among the poor, 6 or 7 people have physical problems. Besides, it's a season change, and children often get sick, so it's not a big number. Guo Cheng pondered for a moment and asked, Did Master Zhou ever think about moving the medical office to Qingzhou City? He said, After all, the Qingzhou Medical Office is responsible for the medical conditions of the 7 counties below. If you stay in Bihai County alone, I am afraid that other counties will have opinions, and it will be difficult for the capital to explain. Although the counties do not like the medical department to control their population and tax situation, the medical department is indeed a welfare policy that benefits the people. The medical office may not be located in this county, but there are no shortage of medicinal materials and free clinics in this county. Moreover, if the medical office is located in Qingzhou City, it will be easier for patients from other counties to come to the door. Man Bao understood what Guo Cheng was implying, and she said, Why do we only build one medical department? Zhou Mandao, we can build 2 more, one is the chief commander in Qingzhou City, and when this side is on track, we can also set up one in Shaoguan County. In this way, there are 3 medical offices in 7 counties, and the people under their jurisdiction can be nearby. Isn't it more convenient to choose medical treatment than to come to Qingzhou City or Bihai County? Guo Cheng couldn't help but opened his mouth in surprise and asked, Isn't your imperial physician office always one state per state? The imperial physician's office has only been established for a few years. Not to mention the local medical office. These are all things that have to be explored. Now the reason why each state has set up one is also because of financial and talent difficulties, Man Bao said. Once in the past 2 years, more and more students have been trained by the medical department, there is no shortage of talents, and the finances are gradually becoming more abundant, so the medical department must be built more. Xiaoguan has long heard that adults are outstanding. With you in Qingzhou, Qingzhou can be the first state to start. Although it sounds nice, Guo Cheng wouldn't be fooled by her 2 or 3 words, and asked, Do Xiao Yuan Zheng and His Majesty know about this? Of course I do, Man Bao looked at him in surprise, otherwise, what would I do in Qingzhou? She frowned slightly and said unhappily, Could it be that I, Zhou Man, can really be implicated because of a small mistake of my apprentice? People who rule in the capital dare not say that they include hundreds of officials in the court, high and low. But above the 4th rank official, who or their family members have not sought medical treatment from me. Guo Cheng, he knows that this person who is still the crown prince still has an official position compiled by the Chongguen Museum, so he is so cautious. See you at 8 p.m. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2900. Guo Cheng thought about it, and after a while, he said, It will cost a lot of money to open a medical department in Shaoguan County. Zhou Man nodded, It won't be short, but it's not something that can be done in a short time. The staff of the Imperial Physician's office is still too small. Let's do a good job of the medical office in Qingzhou City and Bihai County. Guo Cheng breathed a sigh of relief, nodded and said, Okay. Guo Cheng urgently needs someone to support him, even if it is the medical department, and Zhou Man has Bai Shan by his side. Are you going to build a hospital? No, Man Bao had sent someone to inquire about a suitable yard in Qingzhou City before, and now he said directly, There is a good yard not far from the county office, and there is a large road in front of the door. It is the county school and the prefectural school again. I have asked, that yard is another yard of the former governor. If the adults don't mind, it is better to allocate that yard to our hospital for use. Now Guocheng believes that she came prepared, and she really wanted to set up a medical office in Qingzhou City, otherwise why would she even choose a place in advance? Guocheng thought about it and nodded in agreement. In order to show his sincerity, he immediately sent someone to take the title deed of the yard and give it to Zhou Man. Zhou Man accepted it, then followed the master to go through the relevant procedures, and put the yard directly under the signature of Qingzhou Medical College. Man Bao was very satisfied with this, and took Xibing and Daji to see the yard. It can be used as the courtyard of the provincial governor's courtyard. It is naturally not small. Although it is also a 3-entry courtyard, there are 2 rows in total. There are 4 small courtyards in the backyard alone, not to mention the first 2 courtyards that go down side by side. Man Bao was very happy, exhaled and said, "This place is spacious enough to accommodate more patients." Daji couldn't help asking, "Miss, do you have time to get the medical office here?" "Why don't you have time? Just squeeze in and you'll have it," she said. "And isn't Wen Tiandong here? But we still have to recruit some more people, not only doctors, but also literati who can handle general affairs. As long as Bihai County goes well, Qingzhou has a case to follow, and it's much easier to do. Man Bao still has to find Guocheng when it comes to recruiting people." The county test. "Yes," Man Bao said, "I originally wanted to select people from the Mingjing division, but it was too late this year. I asked the Ministry of Personnel, and all the candidates in this year's exam were assigned, and..." She was a little embarrassed and said, "The official position of the local medical bureau is still relatively low, so the candidates of the Mingjing department are not willing to choose the medical bureau, so I thought about recruiting a few people in the local area, and I can recruit from the Ming dynasty next year. 2 people come here. Guocheng, what subject does Lord Zhou want to choose at this time?" "Just choose Mingshu," Man Bao said. "Of course, if there are Minglu and Mingjing, I can also." Guocheng. The opening of the examination is a major event. There are several ways for students to take the Mingjing examination in Beijing. Second, students from county schools or prefectural schools can go to the capital for examinations. The third is from Beijing, but they did not enter the county school and the prefectural school. They need to take the exam in the county and the state first, and then go to the capital to take the exam after getting the qualifications recommended. The vast majority of students fall into the second and third categories. But Dajin couldn't help people exchange, so it didn't limit the place. Therefore, Bai Shan is from Longzhou, but he can be admitted to Yazhu Prefectural Academy, while Zhou Lixiu and the others in Beijing can also pass the qualification examination organized by Beijing Academy. The talent that Zhou Man is now recruiting is equivalent to selecting only from the county examination, which greatly relaxes the criteria for selecting talents. This is also a common occurrence. Some of the county officials' positions are recruited by the county officials themselves. Because they don't even have grades, those who have passed the national Mingjing examination will not be able to do this kind of work. Students who have passed the national examinations for subjects such as Mingjing, Mingswan, and Minglu have the lowest rank as county lieutenants and chief clerks. This is already the lowest level, and further down are anonymous clerks and clerks. Those people below are either passed down from father to son, or from brother to brother, or they were recommended by others, and they passed the assessment because of their talent, or it was this kind of county-level examination. And Zhou Man and Bai Shan asked Zhou Lizhong to read the book to take the test of this level. The knowledge points in the test are not so many. If it is clear, the general accountant can pass the county-level test with a little better handwriting. It's just harder to go any further. But at this time, Zhou Man is in urgent need of his subordinates, and the requirements are very low. It is almost the same as being able to keep accounts and manage accounts. For more advanced ones, wait for next year's Mingjing examination. Man Bao sighed, there has been a shortage of talent everywhere in the past 2 years. Sir, can the county test be held? Guo Cheng calculated the time and said, according to the convention, the prefectures have to select candidates for the Beijing examination in October, September is the state test, and August is the county test. He said, so much in advance, I am afraid that the students will panic, and they may not be prepared enough. Taking the exam in advance is too risky. Guo Cheng smiled and said, why don't I tell someone to go out and hold an exam directly for the medical department? Master Zhou can also choose people in person at that time. Man Bao's eyes flickered slightly, is this possible? Guo Cheng smiled and said, of course it is possible, recruiting talents is normal, but the medical department is special. I don't know what kind of talents Mr. Zhou wants. Man Bao said energetically, sir, since the exam is specially prepared for the medical department, how about I write the exam questions? Guo Cheng, huh? Of course, it's with the adults, Man Bao reacted, and immediately flattered and smiled, when the time comes, we will combine the 2 sets of papers for them to test, and then we will judge the papers and determine the score. Since it is a selection, of course it's time to choose the most suitable one. Guo Cheng thought about it and felt that this person was wanted by the medical department after all, and it would be good for Zhou Man to participate in the paper, so he nodded. He asked with a smile, when will Master Zhou be able to produce good papers, and when do you want to set this exam? Man Bao thought about it, propaganda also takes a certain amount of time. The adults must make all the counties publicize it in place, and the time can't be too short. So, how about we set it in June? Guo Cheng readily agreed. Man Bao said with a smile, since the Lord wants to recruit wise men, why don't you add a few more strokes when writing the official document, saying that the medical office will also recruit doctors, no matter what kind of doctor you are, you can come to the medical office to find me if you are interested, and pass me through. After the interview, you can enter the medical office as a sitting doctor, how about it? Even the exam was set for her, so Guo Cheng would not be stingy with such a few lines, so he readily agreed. Man Bao was overjoyed. Guo Cheng consciously established a relationship with Zhou Man, and was very satisfied, so he personally sent the people out of the prefectural mansion and watched them disappear on the street corner on horseback. See you at 10:30. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2901. The county magistrate Lu knew about this as soon as possible, and his master couldn't help but said, Sir, the magistrate Bai won't tear up the covenant, right? The magistrate Lu thought for a while and then said, no, he mentioned it before. The alliance is a private matter. Besides the 2 of us, there are 5 magistrates in Qingzhou City. It is better to be in the dark than in the light. The county magistrate thought of something, and couldn't help but smile. I only understand today what he said that day. I am only doing this for the people of Qingzhou. He is the parent official of Bihai County, and I am the parent official of Yuda County. As long as it is for the good of the people and has merit, why should you be too rigid about your position? Master frowned. What does he mean? As long as it is beneficial to Bihai County, he will betray the covenant with the adults. No, it's not a betrayal. County Magistrate Lu shook his head and smiled and said, I'm 10 years older than him, but I didn't expect it to be false. I haven't thought about these things as well as their husband and wife. Master is confused. County Magistrate Lu got up and said, let's go, let's also go to see Governor Guo, the busy farming season is coming to an end. Last year, due to the turmoil in the Qingzhou officialdom, the labor force in Yuda County was much worse. Just after the Dragon Boat Festival, a group of laborers was called. Service. Not only do some canals need to be opened, but the road should also be repaired. The county magistrate said, "We will go to the governor of Guo to ask for money. It's too late. I'm afraid the money will go to Bihai County and the medical office." Inspector Guo himself did not expect that he would send Zhou Man away on the front foot, and then the county magistrate Lu, who was crying poor and asking for money, was greeted on the back foot. Man Bao happily ran back to tell Bai Shan what they had negotiated this time, and added, "I think the governor of Guo is very generous. Isn't the county government running out of money now? Why don't you try to ask him for money?" Bai Shan Ke waved his hand boldly and said, "Don't be impatient, our Bihai County is not short of money now, and we will mention the money when we go to see the governor on the Dragon Boat Festival." As soon as Man Bao came back from Qingzhou City, he went to ask for money, which was too eager. "No, no, no." Zhou Man was surprised and said, "You don't even lack money." Bai Shan grinned, unable to hold back the smile on his face, and said, "Today, Li Wei sent someone back to say that the new salt farm has received the first batch of salt." Man Bao's eyes lit up and asked, "Is the dried salt really better than boiled salt as you said?" "It's better than what I ate last time." Bai Shan took out the small jar of salt from the drawer and showed her. "I asked Li Wei to build another crystallizing pond at the back, and the brine was dried in the first crystallizing pond. After the crystals are shoveled out, they are washed and filtered with salt water and then exposed to the sun. The salt produced by the sun is whiter than the salt in the previous crystallizing pool, and the impurities filtered out are also less." Man Bao twisted a few salts to taste, and found that it was true. "Is this a top-grade salt?" Bai Shan nodded. "That's why I said that Bihai County is no longer short of money. At this rate, we can build more salt fields along the coastline, even if there is no more salt from the old salt field. However, the salt field alone is not enough. There is not enough grain in Bihai County. It is not the way for grain shops to always buy grain from outside. It is still necessary to find a way to provide grain production." He said, "I am harvesting wheat recently, and I plan to go to every village in the end." Man Bao said, "I'm also going to take Wen Tiandong to the countryside for a free clinic." The two hit it off and decided to go to the countryside together. Fang Xiancheng was no stranger to the two people's enthusiasm for going to the countryside, but he couldn't help but remind Bai Shan again, "The county magistrate, the county government does not store much salt now, and the official salt we give to the governor's government is 7 at the latest. It will be handed over in the month." Bai Shandao, "I know this in my mind, Fang Xiancheng doesn't have to worry. The county government hopes that you will be optimistic. Since the long-term workers in the old salt farm can't cook salt, they should be temporarily closed." When Fang Xiancheng heard this, he couldn't help but look at Bai Shan's expression. Seeing his calm expression and relaxed tone, he guessed that there was progress on the new salt farm, and it was very likely that the salt had already been boiled. "But recently, I haven't heard of people cutting down trees on a large scale over there." Fang Xiancheng asked hesitantly, "The Song family. Aren't all the officers who committed crimes sent to the governor's house?" Bai Shan said, "Then there is no difference between me and other people in the Song family, and I treat them normally." "By the way, is Master Song still ill?" Bai Shan said with a smile. "If that's the case, then choose someone from below to take the responsibility for him temporarily. I think Zhao Ming is not bad, let him temporarily. Let's take the office of the clerk." Zhao Ming was born in the Zhao family village. Although the Zhao family in Bihai County is far inferior to the Song family, there are many clansmen, and it is the most powerful family outside the Song family. Fang Xianquan's eyelids twitched, knowing that Bai Shan's patience with Master Song had run out, and he was planning to take another shot. Since Bai Shan decided to promote Zhao Ming, he called Dong Xianwei and Zhao Ming to the front together, and directly asked him to temporarily act as the clerk before saying, "When I'm not here, you will help Fang Xiancheng deal with the county government's affairs." "Business." Zhao Ming humbly responded. Bai Shan went to the countryside this time with Dong Xianwei, and Fang Xiancheng already had a feeling that the magistrate and Dong Xianwei seemed to be getting closer. Oh, yes, Dong Xianwei is Zhao Ming's brother-in-law. Man Bao watched the whole scene from the side, and when he returned to the backyard, he couldn't help but tut his tongue. It's better for our medical department, so we don't need to be so careful. Bai Shan, look again in 20 years. Everything that is staged in the county government office today will be staged in the medical office. Now your medical office has just been established. There are fights, but in another 20 years, as long as the medical bureau is stabilized, these fights will not be less, and there will be fights where there are interests. Man Bao thought for a while and couldn't deny his words, so he remained silent. Bai Shan took her hand and said with a smile, I'll think about it later. It's more important to deal with the current thing first. He said, the people take food as their heaven. Farming and mulberry farming is a major event, for our county government, and for your medical office. Man Bao, what does this have to do with our medical department? Of course there is, Bai Shan said foolishly, 5 grains are the basis of the body's energy, isn't that what you said? So 5 grains are important. Can the body of a full-fed person be the same as that of a hungry person? Man Bao shook his head. So, if the people under the treatment can have enough to eat, then the disease will be much less. Do you think the purpose of the county government and the medical office is the same? Man Bao couldn't even shake his head to deny it, but she also knew that he was fooling her, so she said, what can I do? I don't know, let's take a look around. Don't you want to dig some flowers, plants, and trees? Going to the seaside, if we encounter fishermen going into the sea, we can also see what living creatures you haven't seen before, and then we will join them together. Buy it for you. Man Bao tried his best to suppress his smile. That's what you said. Bai Shan nodded. See you tomorrow. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2902. The wind was blowing the wheat waves, and the rushing Man Bao didn't feel much anymore, and she felt that the wind was so refreshing. She squatted on the edge of the field, blowing the wind, and felt that her body was not so sticky, so she exhaled. Bai Shan had already collapsed beside her, looking at the wheat field not far away and said, don't say, although this village is remote, the fields are not bad, and the wheat looks better than the outside. Man Bao nodded. This village is remote, and Bai Shan has not come to this small village several times after going down the mountain, because there is no road. Not to mention the car, even the horses could not get in. In the end, they left the horses outside when they were halfway through, leaving 2 people to guard the horses, and the others came in with their belongings on their backs. When they came here and saw this wheat field, they didn't want to leave. It is cooler in the mountains, and the wheat here ripens later than outside, and the harvest has not yet started, so there are not many people in the fields. Man Bao felt well rested, put her hands back, and began to look around with her feet spread out. She said, although this village is surrounded by mountains, the mountains are not high, it's far worse than ours, it's just a small hillside, at least build a road that can accommodate scooters. Bai Shan also thinks so, going in and out is carried on shoulders and backs, no matter how good things are, you can't make money. Bai Shan asked Wei Dong, who was next to him, how do they pay their village's taxes every year? Dong Xianwei, carry it out. We only collect taxes in the county government. As for how it was shipped out, how did he know? The group of people was blowing the wind by the field, because the dryness of carrying things and climbing the mountain dissipated a lot. Although they were hungry at the moment, they actually felt a little sleepy. Man Bao sighed comfortably, this wind is so cool. Bai Shan agreed, let's sit down more. Lieutenant Dong County, I want to go to the village to eat. It seems that God heard Wei Dong's heart. A man with a hoe came out of the village and found them here. He widened his eyes, and Bai Shan Ke raised his hand. He turned and let go. Legs run. Bai Shan's hands froze, and he couldn't help turning his head to look at Zhou Man on the grass. Man Bao had already sat up from the grass and said confidently, "He should have gone back and called the village chief to meet us." Bai Shan thought so too, so he got up and tidied up his robes and hair crown. After all, he was also an official of his parents, so he had to be decent when meeting for the first time, not too embarrassed. A person from Xiaolai village was even more unusual than entering a carriage from Qilai village, so when the man shouted, someone immediately ran out of the village. If they hadn't carried hoes, sticks, and kitchen knives, Man Bao must have felt that they were warmly welcomed. Seeing them so fierce, Dong Xian jumped up from the grass in fright, and immediately stopped in front of Bai Shan and Zhou Man with the yamen and guards, and yelled at the rushing people, "What are you doing? The county magistrate is here, who dares to be presumptuous?" This sentence was spoken in the official language. The villagers didn't understand it, and they still shouted at them with their hoes. Captain Dong Xian could only shout again in dialect, using the scabbard to push back the people who rushed in front of him. Pushing it vigorously, he shouted with a sullen look, "Don't recognize people, don't you recognize official uniforms?" Just when the villagers hesitated and did not continue, and just pushed and shoved with the yamen, the village chief came from behind panting and shouted, "Where are the mountain bandits? Where are the mountain bandits? God kills, the wheat will be ready as soon as it is cooked. Come." When he crossed the crowd and saw the official robes on Dong Xianwei and the others, he looked down at their boots, and was shocked, and immediately shouted, "Oh, stop, stop, you bunch of idiots, this is adults, admit your mistake, put the hoe down quickly." The villagers put down their hoes, sticks and kitchen knives and sickles in a chaotic manner. There was a noise, and everyone looked at Bai Shan and the others with fear and suspicion. Bai Shan and Man Bao both let out a long breath, scared to death. The village chief stopped the villagers and asked them to step back a little before coming up with a look of joy. Bai Shan was about to greet him, but the village chief grabbed the hand of Dong Xianwei, raised his eyes and looked at him with tears in his eyes and said, "Sir, you are finally here. You don't know how long the people in the village have been waiting for you." Bai Shan. Wei Dongxian was a little embarrassed, so he grabbed the village chief's hand and dragged him to Bai Shan, saying, "This is the county magistrate." The village chief stared blankly at Bai Shan. "Our county has changed its magistrate." Dong Xianwei had a black line, for fear of Bai Shan's misunderstanding. He said, "I was not a county magistrate before." The village chief quickly explained, "Of course I know that your lord is not a county magistrate, your lord is a county magistrate, and I have seen you before." Dong Xianwei raised his heart, thinking of what he shouted just now, and immediately said, "I have never seen you." The village chief lowered his head in disappointment. "Yes, I came back without seeing the adults at that time." He looked at Lieutenant Dong and Bai Shan with anticipation, and said, "Are the adults here to suppress bandits this time?" His eyes looked back and forth between the yamen and the guards, and asked, "Is the army outside the mountain? Do you want to go out to meet you?" Dong Xianwei began to sweat constantly. He is the county captain, and he is in charge of the security in the county. Of course, he is not the main force in things like bandit suppression, because there are 2 patrolling inspectors in the county. But as a county lieutenant, he must know about this situation, and even he should dispatch people for things like suppressing bandits. But why doesn't he know that there are bandits in Bihai County? He couldn't help looking at the magistrate. Bai Shan only glanced at Dong Xianwei and knew that he didn't know anything, so he said to the village chief, "We're going to see the situation first. The army hasn't arrived yet, so please don't spread the word." Hearing this, the village chief nodded immediately, and at the same time told the villagers to be quiet, not to make a fuss. No wonder the chief didn't tell us that the adults were coming, it turned out to be quiet. Bai Shan glanced at the villagers and said, "Let's go to the village. I want to get to know you about The situation of the mountain bandits. The village chief immediately responded and took them into the village. Seeing that the yamen and the guards were carrying a lot of things, they immediately asked the villagers to come forward to help. Man Bao followed them into the village and went directly to the village chief's house. The village is fairly clean. Most of the walls are made of mud, and the roofs are covered with thatch, but it is slightly higher than the houses in many villages outside, and the yard is also open. There are some long melons and dried chickens hanging under the eaves. It can be seen that their life here is better than that of fishing villages such as Zioa village. Bai Shan was very satisfied and said, I have seen the roster of your village. There are 39 households in your village. Yes, there are few people in our village. Bai Shan glanced at the people surrounded by Hula La, and said with a smile, it's not too small. Like Zhou Man's family, most of them have prosperous descendants, but they are not separated. Bai Shan squinted his eyes and asked, which mountain are you talking about? See you at 6 p.m. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2903. How does the village chief know which mountain the bandit is on? I can only say, it's on the mountain nearby. Every time there is a harvest, and during the New Year's holiday, they will go down the mountain to grab something. A few days ago, they came down the mountain again and said that each of us should produce 5 bags of wheat. If there is less, they will kill. We don't have many fields in the first place. 5 sacks of wheat will dry up in half a year. If the court has to pay taxes, we won't have a grain of wheat left. Bai Shan asked, how many times have they descended the mountain? I mean, how many times have you met in your village? 3 times, said the village chief, after the Chongyang festival last year, not long after we paid our taxes, they ran down at night and robbed the 8 families living at the entrance of the village and at the foot of the mountain. Another time was during the New Year's Eve. That time, people came down in the early morning, and they drove all the people out of the village, and then searched a lot of things. This is the last time, but they only came down with 5 people to inform us to prepare the wheat, the village chief said embarrassedly, the people in the village have eyes and don't know the nobles, I don't know if the county magistrates are here, see you. With a knife, I thought it was a bandit who came down, so. Bai Shan reassured him, this county knows, it's not your fault for this, do you know the number of people who went down the mountain 2 times before? The village chief thought for a while and said, I didn't know the first time, it was at night, and only the 8 families were robbed, but I heard from them that there were about 3 or 4 people in the family, all with knives, it was very scary. Later that time, hey, I was too flustered to count, but there were at least 100 people, right? Lieutenant Dong's face was ashen, and he took the lead, impossible. If there are more than 100 bandits in the county, I wouldn't know it at all. The village chief wasn't quite sure, so he changed his mind after hearing what he said, that's 70 or 80 people. Bai Shan frowned and asked, have the village chief heard of any other villages being robbed? The village chief patted his thigh and said, it's just not there. He said, these mountain bandits also targeted our village for some reason. I asked people in other villages, and they all said that there were no mountain bandits. Do you know about this? I know, he said, I reported it to the chief at Chongyang last year. Later, when I was robbed during the New Year, I reported it again. He turned his head and said embarrassedly to Dong County Wei, I went to the city to look for the adults after I was young. At that time, I happened to see the adults with the yamen patrolling the streets, and I wanted to go up to seek justice. Seeing that he didn't speak anymore, Bai Shan raised his eyebrows and asked, then why didn't you come forward? The village chief hesitated for a while, and finally gritted his teeth and said, it was the chief who found me and brought me back, saying that he had already reported that the county magistrate Gao Sheng left, and the adults in the yamen were too busy. Even if we have to do things, we have to do it one by one. If we urge them like this, we may not be able to urge people to tell us, and we will offend the adults in the county office, which will definitely be more difficult in the end. Lieutenant Dong County jumped up and said, what county government dares to despise such a big thing as a mountain bandit? My lord, there is always slandering us there. Bai Shanchong pressed his hand on him to calm him down. The village chief was taken aback, and he reacted with hindsight, I don't know, sir, didn't the chief of the village report it? Bai Shan didn't make a direct conclusion, but asked with a smile, have you reported the matter of the bandits going down the mountain and asking you to prepare wheat this time to the chief? The village chief nodded stunned, I reported it, this is a big deal, how can I not report it? 5 sacks of wheat for a family, half a year's harvest is gone. If they come down again after the autumn harvest, and we don't even have any rice, how can we live? It was precisely because of the great appetite of the bandits this time that the villagers were so excited and ran out with their hoes and kitchen knives. Bai Shan said he understood, and said to the village chief, this county will make the decision for you. We will live in the village for 2 days. Don't worry, it's fine if they don't come. If they come, the county will let them. It comes and goes. Regardless of whether this is true or not, the village chief and the others feel a lot more at ease. Bai Shan said, I see that the wheat in your fields is already ripe, so you should ask someone to harvest the wheat and keep it in the field until it ripens and drops the ears, it will be wasted. The village chief responded immediately. In the past, the enthusiasm for harvesting wheat in the village was not high. Because of the rumors from the mountain bandits, no matter how they saw the wheat in the fields, they didn't look like their own. To harvest. Now with Bai Shan's promise, when the villagers look at the wheat in their fields, they are full of love and pity, and regardless of the sun at this time, they go home to say hello, and they go to harvest with their sickles. The village chief also has a lot of land. He asked his sons to cut wheat and his daughters-in-law to free up the room. Man Bao asked Zibing to help, and then she assigned a place to Wen Tiandong and said, go to a free clinic at a stall. It was under a tree not far from the village chief's house. There was a shadow at the moment, and many children were playing there. The open space was also large, which was really good. When Tiandong went back to the village chief, asked him for a table and a few chairs to put there, and then took the village chief's hand and introduced them to the medical department. The village chief didn't want to hear it, and he still wanted to go to the county magistrate to ask about the bandit suppression. There are so many bandits in the mountains, it is definitely not enough to rely on them alone, so is the army outside the mountain? Do you want to call into the village? Otherwise, would the bandits suddenly come down the mountain and the soldiers would enter the village too late? At the same time, he also has to count the food in the village. The soldiers and yamen are here to suppress the bandits. They have to provide this food, right? Don't know how much they eat? Although the heart is painful, the village chief also knows that if the bandits are suppressed, the expenditure today will only be once. If they are not suppressed, then their village will not have a good life every year. But Wen Shandong pulled him so tightly that the village chief couldn't get away. Seeing that Wen Tiandong was holding the village chief, Man Bao turned around and walked back quickly to find Bai Shandao. There are bandits on the mountain, are we going to transfer troops from the county town? Bai Shan said, I'm discussing it with Captain Dong County. He said, 10 of the siege, 5 of the attack, if the mountain bandits are at least 100 as the village chief said, then we need at least 500 soldiers to be enough. Lieutenant Dong County, sir, there are only 40 people in our county wardens, including the guards you brought. Bai Shan nodded, there are 200 people in the 2 inspections, and only 250 people including us. Wei Dong said, would you like to ask for help from Qingzhou City? Bai Shandao, check it out first, but this matter does have to be reported to Qingzhou City, come and study ink. Daji went to the luggage to find a pen, ink, paper, and inkstone. By Shandao, in addition to this, we have to send someone back to the county office to check whether the mountain bandit incident has really not been reported. If it hadn't been reported, I'm afraid this matter still has something to do with the Rijang here. See you at 10 p.m. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2904. Bai Shan wrote the letter and handed it to Wei Dongxian, go back to the county government in person to find out the matter. He paused and said, Song Patrol has been fine recently, I will give you an official document, you can take it back to Fang Xiancheng, and let him order Song Patrol to go out for inspection, saying that there are bandits in Bihai County, let him take a look around. You can transfer 20 more people from Patrol Luo and take them out of the mountain together, I'll be useful. Lieutenant Dong Xian was not at ease and asked, Sir, do you want to transfer Luo Xianjian back from Xinyanchang? No, Bai Shan said, tell Luo Patrol that no matter what happens, he must not leave the new salt field without permission. He can just guard the new salt field. Captain Dong Xian took the order, took the letter, and hurried out of the mountain with the 2 yamen that Bai Shan had given him. Bai Shan sent the person to the entrance of the village and said to him, let the 2 people who are guarding outside the mountain continue to guard, find a place to live by themselves, and don't spread the word about our entry into the mountain. Lieutenant Dong County should go down. Camping is not difficult at this time. They also bring horses, and ordinary animals do not dare to approach. Therefore, as long as they find a sunny place, they can camp, which is very convenient. When the village chief greeted many women and old men in the village to chat with Wen Tiandong, they only saw the backs of Wei Dong and the others. The village head was startled, Sir, Captain Dong, are they gone? Bai Shan said, they go back to dispatch troops. The village head breathed a sigh of relief, not just running away. He hurriedly invited Bai Shan and the others to sit in the house, the sun is shining, adults don't get sunburnt. Bai Shan smiled slightly and said, I'm wearing a hat, so I won't be so delicate. By the way, can you see the appearance of those bandits? I saw a few, the village chief said. Most of them had their faces covered, but a few of them got into a fight with the villagers when they came to grab something, so they ripped off the towel, and we saw their appearance. Bai Shan's eyes brightened, and he said, find all the villagers who saw their faces, especially those who ripped off their face towels. He turned his head and said to Man Bao, I'll try to see if I can draw them. Man Bao asked the village chief, did they not hurt anyone when their face towel was ripped off? The village chief sighed, who said that no one was hurt? Lu Erzhu was slashed 3 times, and he was no longer alive that day. Hearing this, Bai Shan's face sank, and he asked, are you dead? The village chief wiped his eyes and nodded. Bai Shan, how many died? The village chief hesitated for a while before saying, Lu Erzhu was the only one who was hacked to death, but 3 people were injured at the time. The dog egg was turning over the new year, and the wound was gone after the pus, and the other 2 were no big deal, just. Bai Shan, what is it? The village chief gritted his teeth and said, Gauden is Erzhu's son. The father and son disappeared a year ago. His old man couldn't take the blow. He died not long ago. 2. Bai Shan said solemnly, count 3. Man Bao asked, who else is there in their family? Now only Erzhu's daughter-in-law is left with her youngest daughter, Deduo. She was also kicked at the time. Alas, her hair has turned white this year, and she looks as old as us immortals. Bai Shan said, bring their mother and daughter, I want a portrait. Hearing the words, the village chief immediately went to the mother and daughter to come over. Lu Erzhu's daughter-in-law, surnamed Jin, is only 34 years old, but her hair is already gray, her body is hunched over, her whole face is numb, and only when she looks at her daughter who is huddled behind her does she become a little more human. She didn't go to the entrance of the village today, and she didn't know about the official appointment in the village. She heard that Bai Shan was the county magistrate and wanted to paint a portrait of the mountain bandit, so she immediately took De Duo to her knees. Bai Shan hurriedly stretched out his hand to pull her up, but Jin didn't get up, but knelt steadily and kowtowed to Bai Shan. When he raised his head, there was a deep hatred in his eyes. She said, "The slave family remember that man, even if he turned to ashes, I would recognize him." She glanced at the crowd and pointed to a guard. "That person is about as tall as him." The guard felt a chill in his heart. For some reason, he felt a chill on his back when he was staring at him. Bai Shan slowly drew a picture under her narration and showed it to her. Jin pointed to his face and said, "It's wider down here, the forehead should be lower, and the eyebrows are scattered." Bai Shan made corrections bit by bit, and when the other party's eyes were also corrected, Jin stunned and looked at the humanity on the paper. "It's him, it's him, it's him." The village chief also came to look at it, widened his eyes and said, "It's this person, I know him too, but he's fierce. If he finds fewer things, he will beat people, which is very vicious." Jin's hands and feet began to tremble, and he clenched his teeth and stared at the person in the painting. Man Bao saw De Duo who was behind her trembling all over, her face pale. She hurriedly stepped forward, supported one person with one hand, and called Zibing again. Bai Shan glanced at them, didn't stop Jin, but turned to the village chief and said, "Look for other people, didn't you see the looks of several people?" The village chief responded happily, turned around and ran out, not at all showing his age. He never thought that the county magistrate's painting skills were so good, and the people he painted were just like real people, and he deserved to be an official. Man Bao helped Jin Shi and De Duo into the room, and felt their pulse. Seeing that they were only emotional and scared, he took De Duo's hand and pressed it a dozen times on her arm, then stretched out his hand. Caressing her back, he slowly calmed him down. De Duo slowly recovered, and looked up at Zhou Man in embarrassment. Man Bao asked her with a smile, "How old are you?" De Duo lowered his head and said, "I'm 14. Man Bao, "I'm still young, don't be afraid, the county magistrate will catch all those bandits." De Duo didn't nod, but asked, "Can you really catch them? They say that mountain bandits are very powerful. If they hide in the mountains, no one can do anything about them. It is difficult for the county government to send troops to catch them." Jin gradually calmed down, and when he heard the words, he raised his head and looked at Zhou Man with bright eyes. Man Bao asked softly, "Who said this?" "Everyone said that," De Duo said, tears streaming down her face. She raised her hand to wipe her tears, and said, "My mother and I wanted to go to the county to file a complaint, but the chief and the people in the village did not. It's useless to say that it's no use, the county magistrate is no longer in our yamen, the promotion is gone, there are no county magistrates in the yamen, and there are not so many soldiers, we can't let the soldiers in the county yamen go all out in order to suppress the bandits, so they all said this. It will be over." Man Bao reached out and stroked her hair and said, "You are all descendants of Dajin. The county magistrate is the parental official given to you by your majesty. Parents and sons don't care about the consequences, and the same is true for the magistrate of Bai, so you can rest assured. He will protect you comprehensively and seek justice for you." De Duo looked at Zhou Man with red eyes, "Really?" Man Bao nodded affirmatively, "Really. See you at 11:30. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2905. Man Bao grabbed a pair of soothing soup for the mother and daughter. "Go back and cook and drink it, I will feel better, and I will have fewer nightmares at night." Jin felt a little angry, and quickly took it, pulling her daughter to turn around and leaving, but De Duo couldn't help but marvel, "How does Madam know that we will have nightmares at night?" Man Bao moved in his heart and said with a smile, I'm an imperial physician, so naturally there are other ways to know. By the way, we came here to inform you that there is a medical office in the county, and if someone gets sick in the future, they can send it to you. If you go to the medical office for medical treatment, civilians with household registration can see a doctor and get medicine for free, and the middle households can also be exempted from the consultation fee. Seeing that both mother and daughter were taken aback, Man Bao asked, do you know what a medical office is? The two shook their heads together, never heard of it. Man Bao was already very experienced, so he dragged the two of them to the bottom of the tree, and when he saw Wen Tiandong seeing a doctor, he said, this is the medical office, and the medical office is where your majesty and the empress sympathize with the people of the world and let them the medical clinics opened by the imperial court in various places. It happened that there were a lot of people under the tree, so when Man Bao explained to the mother and daughter, everyone could listen. She talked about the establishment and functions of the local medical office, from how the imperial medical office was established and how to train students. Jin Shi, who was in a hurry to go home, couldn't help standing under the tree and listening to her. After she finished speaking, she asked, can the medical office treat stab wounds? Man Bao paused for a while and said, of course you can, depending on the severity of the injury. Can the meat be cured? Man Bao lowered his eyes and said after a moment of silence, if the meat is damaged, then the damaged meat should be cut off. As long as the new meat is no longer damaged and the person is not high fever, then most of them can survive. Of course, everyone's injury and body are different, and there is a great possibility that they will not survive. Jin's chest heaved several times, his lips trembled and said, the doctor told us the same thing at the time. He cut the meat and let us live in the county town for 7 days, saying it depends on how the meat grows, but the county town is too expensive. Now, you need money for food, money for housing, money for seeing a doctor and buying medicine. The family really ran out of money. We stayed for one night and then got the medicine and came back. I killed the dog, and I killed the child. Why didn't I think about collecting money? Why did I come back? Are you back? Jin sat on the ground and began to cry slowly, and finally he cried so much that his heart hurt, so he burst into tears. De Duo was terrified and kept crying along with her. Seeing her mother trembling from crying, she anxiously said, Mother, it's my fault, it's my fault, if it weren't for me, my father and brother would also won't. Jin Shi, who couldn't restrain herself from crying, covered De Duo's mouth, and her voice rose suddenly, which instantly drowned out De Duo's words. No one heard what De Duo said, except for Man Bao and Zibing, who were also squatting on the side to appease her. This sentence. While crying, Jin looked at Zhou Man in horror. Zhou Man didn't seem to hear De Duo's words, and slowly stroked her back to ease her fear and sadness. When her crying subsided, she said, what does this have to do with you? Don't take other people's mistakes on yourself. Man Bao told her firmly, it was the bandit who killed the dog, not you. Jin Shi looked at Zhou Man blankly. Man Bao helped her up and instructed Zibing, bring my medicine box, and I'll give her a few injections. The cake should be placed, and immediately turned around and went back to get the medicine box. When Tiandong also came over, glanced at Jin Shi's face and said, Sir, her face seems to be depressed. It's okay, just take it easy. Man Bao continued to comfort Jin Shi and De Duo, it doesn't matter, you can take care of your body slowly, and you can always see the day when your great revenge will be avenged. Man Bao nodded to Wen Tiandong and asked him to continue treating the villagers who came for consultation, while she helped Jin Shi and De Duo to leave. She sent them back. Their home is not very far from the village chief's house. The yard is not small, and everything inside is neat, but it is too tidy, making the yard even more empty. Man Bao paused, and together with De Duo, helped Jin into the house, and after asking her to change her clothes, Man Bao gave her acupuncture to calm her down slowly, and then gave her acupuncture to fall asleep. When De Duo saw her mother fell asleep quietly, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Madam, is my mother all right?" "It's all right," Man Bao reassured her. "I'll go back and grab 2 medicines for her to keep, and you can take them out more on weekdays." She said, "The dead are gone, the living are like this. I think they also want you to live better, not even worse than the dead." De Duo didn't speak. Man Bao said, "You are still young, only 14 years old, there are still a lot of days in the future, your mother is still young, only 1/3 of her life has passed, you persuade her, just for you, it's time to cheer up." De Duo pinched the corner of her clothes and asked, "Madam, can we really take revenge?" "Still thinking about revenge?" Man Bao said, "As long as you live well, you will be able to see it." De Duo bit his lip, and finally nodded firmly, "Okay, I'll persuade my mother." Man Bao got up and said, "You also drink a bowl of soothing soup at night. You and your mother are not blamed for the deaths of your father and brother. Neither of you need to blame yourself for the sins of the wicked." De Duo listened in a daze, and she didn't recover until the sound of the door closing. Zhou Man had already left the yard with the cake and walked away. Bai Shan drew another portrait, but the sight in the house was not very good, and he estimated that he would not be able to draw a third one before dark, so he put down his pen and went out with the village chief to relax his eyes, and by the way, let them do this for a while. The theme of the second visit to the village, persuading Nong Same to teach lessons. After walking a few steps out of the house, he saw Man Bao who came back. Bai Shan waved to her, and when the others arrived, he asked, "How are the Jins and their daughter?" "The liver qi is stagnant, and the lungs are sad. What's more, she is still sad and worried. This is a heart disease, and it can be cured by heart medicine." Man Bao glanced at the village chief next to him, and instead of discussing this issue, he asked, "Why are you going?" "Let's take a look at the situation in the field, do you want to go?" "No," Man Bao said, "I'm going to see Wen Tiandong's consultation." Bai Shan could only regret it alone and went to the fields with the village chief, followed by De Ji and 2 guards. The fields in this place are really good, even better than the villages outside. It is surrounded by mountains, but the inside is very flat, so the fields are flat and there is no shortage of water. Although the wheat has not been harvested, Bai Shan only looks at the ears of wheat, and then touch its particles to know that the yield per mu will not be too small. Bai Shan asked about the yield per mu in the past years, and he couldn't help but sigh, "There will be no floods, and there will be few droughts, this place is indeed an excellent place, so your life is not difficult, at least there is no shortage of food, then why don't you build a way out of the mountain?" See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2906. I built it, the village chief was very aggrieved. We built the road that adults came to the village to find. Bai Shan, do you call this road building? Even horses can't get in. Village chief, sir, you can still come in without riding a horse. Bai Shan was too lazy to continue this question and asked directly, when was the last time you guys built roads? The village chief said uncertainly, 4 years ago. Or 5 years ago. Where are your corvées sent every year? The village chief immediately said, official roads and some canals outside the mountains, and sometimes go to the seaside to build piers. Anyway, it was not sent to the corvée of their own village. Bai Shan frowned, is there a wharf in Bihai County? The village chief said, it existed a few years ago, just in the area of Longqi. Later, it was not built and was abandoned. Bai Shan, why waste it? Village head, because there is no money. Bai Shan. That's all, I'd better wait until I see Fang Xiancheng and Dong Xianwei. How could he ask a village chief who doesn't even understand his own village corvette? Bai Shan stretched out his hand and touched the wheat in the field, and said to the village chief, "It's all ready to be harvested. Let's work hard. When the farming is over, I will issue an order for you to make a special way out." The village chief was worried and asked nervously, "Do you want to repair it and go outside?" "Bai Shan, I do have this ambition, but there are not many of you, and the mountain road is difficult. If you don't dispatch servants from other places, it would be good to be able to repair it outside within 5 years based on your village alone." He said, "You can't delay farming for a road." The village chief breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing this, Bai Shan said, "Dan Er and others should not be slack. It is very important to have a road leading to the outside. If your village has a road leading to the outside, you will be besieged by the mountain bandits when they come. Is it even impossible to ask for help here?" Bai Shan believes that the reason why the mountain bandits can attack Xiaoliu village again and again without any scruples is because it is isolated and helpless. The mountains on all sides protect the village, but they also cut off their way, so they must have a way. And surrounded by mountains, even if the land is fertile, they just don't lack food, but life is not just about food, but also clothing, housing, and the need for knowledge. In life, people always have to leave something for this world. This is not a waste of time in this world, isn't it? Only when Xiaoliu village leads to the outside can all this be realized. Bai Shan's heart moved. Xiaoliu village was like this, so why not Bihai County? Speaking of which, Bihai County is also small and there are few people. Many caravans will divert to Leizhou after arriving in Qingzhou city, and go out to sea from Leizhou Bay. Except for the caravans that see salted fish, they will come to Bihai County. Other caravans also come here. In order to sell things, it is rare to take away goods from Bihai County. But Bihai County has few and poor people. How many merchants can come to sell things? Even if they eat delicacies from mountains and seas every day, they can't leave much money for Bihai County, so they still have to find a way to attract more businessmen. How to attract it? My lord, seeing Bai Shan in a daze, the village chief couldn't help but shouted twice. Bai Shan returned to his senses, suppressed his thoughts, and said to the village chief, "Have your rice seeds been sown?" "Yes, they have all sprouted." "Come on, let's go and see." The village chief turned around and took them to see the fields where the seedlings were raised in the village. There are not many people in their village, and the place where rice seedlings are raised is mostly in the field at the end of the village, and the river that flows through their village is right next to it. The river is not big, so there is no danger of flooding. At this time, the water of the river is flowing, and the fields on both sides are green seedlings. Bai Shan walked down the ridge to take a look, stretched out his hand and pulled out a seedling to look at it. At this time, it was only 1 finger tall, but the color was about to turn dark green, showing that the fertility of the ground was good. He looked at the rhizomes of the seedlings. They were a little thin, and the root system was not comparable to the rice seeds that Data planted in Pu village. However, there is no shortage of water here, and it is normal for the root system of the seedlings to be underdeveloped. Bai Shan asked the village chief, what was the average yield of rice per mu in Shangtian last year? The village chief opened his mouth, but didn't answer. They have nothing to do to calculate the average yield per mu. Bai Shan changed a few questions. How many acres of land does your family have? How many acres of rice were planted last year, and how many bags did you receive? Have you weighed it? The village chief can tell that he has a good memory, and the annual harvest is very important. Bai Shan listened carefully and calculated in his heart, and then he had a general understanding. He asked, which family planted the best land in the village last year? The village chief also knew that and said, on Urju's family, his old man is very old-fashioned. He farms very well. There are 2 fields in his family that are very fertile, and he can grow a higher yield every year than others. Pity. Bai Shan sighed, it's a pity, he still wanted to rent a few acres of experimental fields here, and let the best people plant them at that time. He turned to look at the village chief and asked, does anyone in the village want to rent out fields? The village chief, no need, the hard work can still be finished, just like Urja's daughter-in-law and their family, the mother and daughter can't finish the planting, and the village will help them. People's land. Bai Shandao, I want to rent the land. The village chief didn't know what to do, and the smile on his face was a little reluctant. He said, why rent, if the adults want to farm the land? How many acres of land are there in the small family? Why don't you give some to the adults? Bai Shan glanced at him condescendingly and said, my family is in Longzhou, and my family is in the capital. What do you want the land here for? Village head. Although he was scolded, he was inexplicably happy, and he breathed a sigh of relief again. Bai Shan retracted his gaze, looked at the whole paddy field where seedlings were raised, and said, I think the climate in this mountain is good, I have some new rice seeds, and I want to try them here. This kind of field is called a test field, and it doesn't take much. You can rent 2 or 3 acres. He said, this matter is not urgent, the rice seeds are not in hand, even if they are to be planted, they will have to be planted next year. You can help me ask who is willing to rent out the land, and then find me an honest and obedient person who can farm the land. The village chief immediately responded. As long as you don't want land or rent it, you can rent it out for a few years without paying a penny. The county magistrate should also be promoted in a few years, right? Bai Shan didn't return to the village until it was dark. The village was bustling with smoke from cooking. Because the wheat was to be harvested, the people in the village had dinner late today. Man Bao and the others have just closed the booth, and they have something to say to each other as soon as they meet. Bai Shan paused and said, you speak first. Man Bao said, I have seen almost the people in this village. I will go out of the village tomorrow afternoon and go to a few nearby villages for free clinics. Bai Shan Ke said, I also want to go to a few nearby villages, there are bandits in the mountains, it is impossible to rob only one village of Xiaoliu village, especially a bandit den with about 100 people, it is impossible to survive by robbing Xiaoliu village alone down, so I want to see the situation in several other villages. See you at 6 p.m. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 2907. In fact, Bai Shan suspected that those mountain bandits were not real mountain bandits, or they were just mountain bandits targeting Xiaoliu village. Otherwise, those mountain bandits can hide so strictly, and the county government has not heard any rumors, which means that there are big forces behind them to support them. This is the worst result. If they dare to go down the mountain to loot, they must have been raised for a long time. And he didn't think that Magistrate Yulu's talent would not have been discovered for so many years. So Bai Shan still had to go to the nearby village to find out the situation. The next day, Bai Shan spent half a day painting the rest of the portraits. In fact, not many people saw their faces, only 5. Except for 2 people from the village who remembered it well, the other 3 it was put back on shortly after being ripped off. They themselves are not very sure whether the person who drew it is right or not, and it is very vague. But talk is better than nothing. Zhou Man and Wen Tiandong also read the people who came to seek medical treatment, and made sure that they had written down that they could go to the medical office if they were ill, and then left with Bai Shan. The people in the village were very nervous and sent Bai Shan to the foot of the mountain. Bai Shan appeased the village chief, I have reserved people for you, and Lieutenant Dong has also returned to the county to transfer troops. They should be there in a few days. If those bandits come again, you don't have to be afraid. You can give them whatever they want. What are they? He said, life is the most important thing. When I catch people, everything they stole will be found back for you. This. The villagers were hesitant. Bai Shan smiled and said, Don't be afraid. This county does what it says it does. No matter how bad it is, I will supply you with the loss. The county still has this amount of money. The main thing is that people have to live. Only by living can people have everything. Regardless of whether the villagers listened to it or not, Bai Shan left them a yamen and a bodyguard. In fact, it was to report credit, and they couldn't be expected to fight against the legendary Baron Mountain Bandit. After crossing the mountain, the yamen waiting halfway up the mountain saw them and ran up immediately. "Sir, you finally came out, we are about to be eaten by mosquitoes." It was only then that Bai Shan remembered that they brought horses. Maybe the beasts would not provoke them, but the mosquitoes must like them very much. He said apologetically, "I forgot to leave you some herbs for repelling mosquitoes." Man Bao said, "There are a lot of wormwood on the road. If you make a fire at night and burn it, the smoke can smoke mosquitoes. You must learn to use local materials in the future." The group led their horses down the mountain and stood at the intersection to look left and right. Bai Shan summoned a yamen to ask, "We are going to find Chang Jiali, where should we go?" The yamen was stunned, I don't know." Bai Shan, "I remember that it is written in the file that Xiaoliu village and Dying village are under the same jurisdiction of Chief Jia Li. How can Dying village get there?" The yamen who was questioned swallowed, "Sir, I don't know how to get to Dying village." Seeing Bai Shan looking at him silently, he immediately explained, "Sir, the people who go to the countryside to pay taxes and grains every year are fixed, and one person is responsible for one side, and the one who is in charge is the Longqi area. I'm not familiar with this area." This time, Bai Shan did not go down the mountain to the beach, but to the inland side of Leizhu. There are many narrow roads and few people here. This is the first time the yamen has come here, so he really doesn't know the way. "What?" Bai Shan turned his head to look behind and asked, "Who knows the way?" It was the same yamen officer, who said bravely, "Sir, you recognize the old Chen and the old grandson on this road. One you sent him and Dong Xian way back to the county town, and the other you stayed in the mountains." Man Bao couldn't hold back, and laughed out a puchi from behind. Bai Shan's face burned slightly, and he glared at her secretly. In the end, there was nothing he could do. He looked back and forth at the road in front of him, from south to north, and simply pulled Man Bao up, "Choose one." Man Bao was taken aback, "I choose." Bai Shan nodded, "You are lucky." Man Bao rolled his eyes and said, "Don't blame me if I choose the wrong one." Bai Shan, "I don't blame you anyway, they have horses. If they make a mistake, they will go back." Moreover, he wanted to go to all the villages in this area, so no matter where the next village is, he can accept it. Man Bao asked Keek in his mind, "Do you know where Dying village is?" Keek said depressedly, "I don't know. It doesn't have a detailed map of the world, how can it know?" Then you say, "Is there more things that can be dug on the road above, or is there more on the road below?" Keek chose the above road for her without hesitation, and at the same time began to beep, "Host, we have detected that there are plants and animals that can be recorded at a distance of 988 meters from you." Man Bao stretched his finger to the upper left, and said to Bai Shan solemnly, "I think this is the way." Bai Shan waved his hand, "Let's go, let's take a look from this side first." So the group got on the horse, and after running for a while, Man Bao restrained the horse and Bai Shan and said, "You take Wen Tiandong first, and I will go into the mountains to dig some flowers and plants. If there is a village in front of you, send someone back and let me know. No, just come back to me, and we'll go the other way. This road is not an official road, it is small and rotten, and there are many detours. The grass on both sides can reach people's knees. It is very disturbing to look at, so no one knows if there is really a village ahead." Back and forth. Bai Shan knew that she was going to dig something for her little father-in-law, so he nodded, left a lot of guards and yamen for her, and left her auspiciousness, there are bandits in the mountains, be careful. Man Bao pointedly said, then it is uncertain whether the bandits are in the mountains, don't worry, I will be careful. Man Bao and Keek said, did you hear, we have to be careful. If you find a bandit, you must tell me in advance. Keek agreed, as long as the host can record things for it, it is willing to help if it is not beyond the scope of authority. When scanning creatures, it is trivial for him to check whether there are any creatures like bandits in the mountains. When Tiandong didn't quite understand, sir, all medicinal materials can be bought from pharmacists. We can't collect much of the medicinal materials alone. Man Bayadao, my purpose is not to collect herbs to make medicinal materials, I just want to see what they look like, that's all, I can't tell for a while, you and Bai County Magistrate go first, and we'll talk later. This topic. When Tiandong could only leave first with Bai Shan. Man Bao got off the horse, led the horse in a little and found the plant that Keek said, and the animal ran away early. It turned out to be a medicinal herb, vine-like, winding up around the tree next to it, and it was a piece of the pest. Man Bao tisk twice, although it has never seen it alive, but has seen it sliced and dried. Man Bao cut a piece of vine and smelled it, and asked Keek in his mind, is it ding gong teng? Keek checked it and said, theoretically yes, this plant has never been recorded in the encyclopedia, so it can be recorded. Man Bao took out the scissors from the basket, picked out the old vines and started cutting. See you at 9.